Bankers of Nigeria, the conference, 14th in the series, focuses on economic recovery, inclusion, and transformation, the role of banking and finance. Rwandan leader Paul Kagame delivered a virtual keynote address.
The banking sector, more than any other, understands the importance of integrity and good customer service. Banking is ultimately about trust. We look to you to set the pace in this regard. Our role as governments is to maintain good enabling environments.
Special guest of honor, President Muhammadu Buhari, saluted the banking and finance industry for its commitment towards charting a practical path for economic recovery and transformation of the country.
Let me reiterate that we are committed to lifting our people out of poverty and will continue to embark on initiatives that will ensure we achieve this laudable objective as we together build a future for Nigeria.
Already, the president explained the 5.01% GDP growth recorded by Nigeria, the highest rise since the fourth quarter of 2014, clearly indicates that the efforts of his administration at repositioning the economy is paying off. He, however, said beyond the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic to the future, there are bountiful opportunities that can be leveraged for sustainable economic growth.
As we continue to progress towards the next frontiers of digitization, we must harness all opportunities while being mindful of the inherent risks. Let me now alert that we are committed to enhancing the health and economic well-being of all Nigerians.
President Buhari enumerated, amongst others, the establishment of Infraco PLC, a world-class infrastructure development vehicle with a combined debt and equity take-off capital of 15 trillion naira, and the Solar Power Niger project aimed at delivering 5 million off-grid connections to Nigerian households as some of the various initiatives towards achieving the objective.
I am confident that the speakers that have been carefully selected to contribute to conference will share insights that will help individuals, businesses, and governments at all levels make necessary adjustments and take the right steps towards our collective resolve to position Nigeria as one of the top economies in the world.
The president commended the financial services industry for its intervention and contributions towards promoting financial inclusion as well as fostering economic growth of the country. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
To achieve inclusive growth and further drive the recovery process, the banking and finance sector must take the lead in complementing the federal government's drive to promote sustainable growth and development. This position was put forward by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the 14th Banking and Finance Conference in Abuja. Musa Abubakar has more.
For 13 years, this gathering has provided the platform for banking and finance sector to exchange ideas and profile solutions to contemporary issues. This year, the focus is the economic recovery, inclusion, and transformation. With 5.01% gross domestic product recorded in second quarter of 2021, stakeholders were optimistic but remain concerned over unemployment rate and inflation. This gathering is resolute that the banking and financial sector, as a catalyst of economic growth, will help further drive the recovery process through inclusion of youths to achieve the much-needed transformation.
Our banking and financial sector to step up to the plate and play its part. And this sector has a large part to play. First, because we know that countries with well-developed financial systems experience faster economic growth, and as such are better able to engineer accelerated exit out of poverty for many.
Continued implementation of interventions in the agricultural and manufacturing sectors, improved availability of COVID-19 vaccines, recovery in crude oil prices, along with a significant pickup in economic activities have led to a surge in our gross domestic product GDP output as our economy grew, our banking sector remains well positioned to support the recovery efforts of the monetary and fiscal authorities.
There is also work to be done to ensure we meet targets regarding financial inclusion, infrastructural development, SME growth, and female equality.
More than ever before, we need the banking industry and the financial institutions to step up with new innovative financing mechanisms and solutions that will focus on marginalized and our vulnerables in different parts of our life.
Inputs from sessions on post-COVID-19 and opportunities amongst other contributions will form the next line of action to speed up the recovery process. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has written to Senate seeking consideration and passage of the Explosives Bill and the Small Arms and Light Weapons Bill 2021. President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan read the executive communication shortly after the legislators resumed from their annual recess. Ignatius Onkwo reports.
Senators returning to the chamber after 2 months and 5 days recess, accompanied by the usual resumption greetings.
Distinguished colleagues, welcome back. Please take your seat.
President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan read 3 letters from the executive: the Explosives Bill, the Small Arms and Light Weapons Bill 2021, and the addendum to the 2018-2021 Federal Government External Borrowing Plan.
Total sum of USD American dollars 4,476,863 dollars plus euro 710 million and grant component of USD 125 million dollars. The Senate is kindly invited to know and programs in the borrowing plan were selected based on positive technical and economic evaluations and the contribution they would make to the socio-economic development of the country.
That was followed by a welcome speech by President of the Senate, who acknowledged presidential assent to the Petroleum Industry Act and called on the Implementation Committee to expedite action on its takeoff.
I want to take this opportunity to urge the Implementation Committee to expedite action so that our country will start to reap the benefits of the law.
He announced that the National Assembly is ready to receive and begin consideration of the 2022 appropriation bill.
Let me emphasize that the Senate, indeed the National Assembly, is prime and ready to receive and start work on the bill. That's the appropriation bill.
Senator Lawan also acknowledged the current achievements of security personnel in the fight against insecurity. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Onkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Committee on Defense has engaged the Defense Minister in relation to a bilateral agreement signed between Nigeria and Russia on insecurity. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The engagement was initiated by the House to obtain details of the agreement
between the Nigerian government and the Russian Federation, and as it affects our fight against banditry, insurgency, and kidnapping, and all other vices we have in Nigeria, and also its implication on national security.
The meeting immediately went into closed door. The committee had earlier met with a delegation from the Nigeria Defense Academy over the 24th August security breach at the institution, which left 2 officers dead and 1 other abducted.
All the service chiefs and the chief of defense staff were all in the academy just to commiserate with the academic community and also to get more information. Senior retired and serving military officers have called. They have also visited the academy because the academy is very dear not only to the military but to Nigeria as a whole.
Ongoing efforts to secure the respected officer and measures to avoid a repeat formed parts of the briefing, also held behind closed door. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The National Assembly is to harmonize and send out the Constitutional Amendment Bill by the end of October. Discussing the legislative agenda following the resumption of the National Assembly on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria, lawmakers say they will subsequently take up the appropriation bill. Ekemini Williams has the details.
The National Assembly is returning from its 2-month annual recess with a legislative agenda. And lawmakers who joined the program say the 2022 Appropriation Bill, Electoral Amendments Bill, and the Constitutional Amendments Bill will top the priority lists of issues to be addressed.
Before the end of October, very hopeful. I'm choosing my word carefully because, constitutional amendment is more complicated than, other bills. We are hopeful that National Assembly will receive the constitutional amendment bill, harmonize it, have a position, and send it out. But recall that has to go to the state houses of assembly. But we intend to do our bit before the end of October. And the president is equally committed to ensuring that the executive brings, the appropriation bill to the National Assembly. Hopefully, we expect before the end of September. But from experience so far, give or take, we only receive it by first week of October. They're about worst case scenario by second week of October.
The next stage for the electoral bill that we amend, the electoral act that we are amending is the conference committee. At the conference committee, some of the desires of Nigerians, which seems to be at varied position between the two chambers, will be looked at.
Spokesperson of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, says it will not be business as usual, as the National Assembly will apply itself relentlessly in attending to the bills. Oke Epia, the executive director, Oda Paper Nigeria, commended the commitment of the National Assembly to speed up the process of legislation, but asked for more attention to be accorded to oversight functions.
We see an inclination by both arms of government, the executive and the legislature, readily to provide these things. The last supplementary budget that they approved before they went, security sector funding was a huge part of it. So that is a good credit for them. But how are they performing oversight over these appropriations to ensure that this equipment that's budgeted for, they are procured and adequately so, to ensure that there's adequate capacity building for troops and for operatives? So I think these are areas they need to they need to up their game in the National Assembly so that we would see more results.
The lawmakers urged Nigerians to give the National Assembly the required support to discharge its constitutional duties effectively and efficiently for the good governance of the country. In Abuja, Ekemini Williams, NTA News.
The news desk at 6 is live on NTA News 24. There will be more reports after this break. Don't go away.
NTA News 24, a 24-hour news station, brings to you news and happenings 7 days a week.
News at 10 a.m., news update at 11 and 1 p.m.
News desk at 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. and late evening news at 11 p.m.
Follow us on any of our platforms and keep abreast of events and current affairs within and outside our shows.
We are on DSTV channel 419, GoTV channel 46,
Star Times channel 101, and Free TV channel 03. Join us.
Thank you for staying with us. Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, the Chief of Army Staff, has directed the immediate commencement of military operation in the North Central to further stem criminality in the zone. The Army Chief gave the marching order at the ongoing combined second and third quarter 2021 Chief of Army Staff Conference holding in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has the details.
With these aggressive land and air operations, eradicating bandits in the North Central and smoking out terrorists from their enclaves in the Northeast, this conference is a veritable platform for Army principal officers, commanders and heads of formations to appraise the operations in the period under review and make enhanced projections in the quest to further secure the country.
These security challenges, amongst many others, require a gathering of this nature to review our current operations and prefer strategies to counter emerging and future threats within the Nigerian Army capacity. It is my fervent belief that this combined conference will serve a singular purpose by producing a blueprint for the myriad of challenges facing the nation in general and the Nigerian Army in particular.
We must strive to ensure we conduct
The Army Chief's directives to field commanders is to sustain the spirit of communicating with the criminals in the language they understand and spare no room for excuse.
I will not take or accept excuses, or I do not place that failure is failure, irrespective of the circumstances. Commanders must take initiative. They must take decisive action to defeat the threats in their respective areas of responsibility. I am aware of logistic constraints affecting operations across the country, and I am glad to inform you that efforts are in progress to provide us with combat enablers that would enhance and boost our operations. Concerted efforts are being made to eliminate the threat of improvised explosive devices, which has been a major impediment to troops and our operations in Operation Hatin Kai.
Deliberations on improving troops' welfare, upscaling training and provision of equipment dominated the platform. This is the first COAS conference since the assumption of office of Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya as the Chief of Army Staff. 7 combat vehicles, locally equipped with high broadband frequency for effective communications and cameras with night vision capability, were inaugurated at the event. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Thanks, Ismail. Meanwhile, 108 of the inmates released from Kaba Medium Security Custodial Center during Sunday night's jailbreak have been rearrested. The Public Relations Officer, Nigerian Correctional Service, Francis Enobore, who confirmed this via telephone interview, revealed that some escapees voluntarily returned. Enobore explained that 294 inmates were in custody prior to the attack, after which only 28 of them stayed back. 18 others voluntarily returned. As at the last count, the custodial center now has a total of 154 inmates back in custody, he says. The Christian Association of Nigeria and other church leaders have thrown their weight behind the federal government's strategy of introducing vaccination in churches on Sundays. This is part of efforts to meet the target of second phase vaccine rollout. Olusheye Adiagbo reports.
Barely a month into the commencement of the second phase of the COVID-19 vaccination rollout in Nigeria, updates from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency shows that over 4 million people have been vaccinated with the first dose, as almost 2 million people have taken the 2 doses of the vaccine. While development partners are commending government of Nigeria over the data, Ministry of Health and the agency driving the nationwide vaccination exercise say the fight against misinformation, misconception, and fake news about vaccines is still central. This engagement with Christian leaders from across the Federation is on sensitizing them on the myths and facts about the COVID-19 vaccine.
I want to task Your Eminence, distinguished Christian leaders, to be role models to your followers and encourage them to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
From this phase 2 of the COVID-19 vaccine rollout, we have introduced Sunday vaccination. This is to ensure members of the Christian community who may not have had access to the vaccine for whatever reason are given the opportunity to be vaccinated at their worship places.
Government has gotten our response, what people are saying, the challenges people are having. And so if they can bring it to places of worship, wonderful. And when they bring it to the place of worship, it doesn't mean that people will now be compelled that they must be vaccinated. No, you still have a choice.
We welcome the development. We believe that is the way to go. We encourage Christians everywhere to get vaccinated.
With support from church leaders to introduce the vaccination at church services, it is expected that the mobilization efforts of the government will yield positive results in order to build immunity in communities and protect all Nigerians from the pandemic. In Abuja, Olusheye Diagbo, NTA News.
About 14 traditional remedies to manage COVID-19 have been listed by the NAFDAC, but cannot undergo clinical trials because of lack of funds. Traditional medicine experts who disclosed this on Good Morning Nigeria today, while discussing traditional medicine and COVID-19, said they have been formally engaged in treating patients with local remedies. They appealed for funding from government, the private sector, and individuals to facilitate research and development of traditional treatment for COVID-19.
Believed to have some management effect in COVID response, either in managing some symptoms of COVID, okay? Because after all, no drug has been yet. Even the vaccines, you are told after the vaccine, you must still do the pharmaceutical, non-pharmaceutical measures. So we are happy that at least a stimulus coming of COVID-19 has been able to push forward some of these products that have been listed. And furthermore, like he said, we need determination and support for research. But like I always say, what kind of research? If we believe that some of these products are qualified for clinical trials, it takes a lot of money.
Because I've not seen any African country where they were picking dead bodies on the street. And it comes to support what I said originally, that traditional medicine is contributing.
Yes.
To the response.
Like
there is no doubt about it. It may be controversial, but I am convinced from what I have seen in the science of traditional medicine.
Nigeria is promising non-stop support towards the eradication of drug abuse in West Africa and the continent. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Buba Marwa, relayed Nigeria's commitment at the launch of the 2018-2019 West African Epidemiology Network on Drug Use WENDU report of statistics and trends on illicit drug use and supply. Busba Dan Wahab reports that the WENDU report was prepared by ECOWAS Commission.
The use of hard drugs is one of the reasons for which Africa is in the limelight of the international scene. Youth mostly perpetrate the act, and women are reportedly bearing the brunt. It is projected to increase by 40% by year 2030, with West Africa accounting for more than half of the drugs used on the continent.
The problem of illicit drug use is widespread in our region, with cannabis being the most common as it's easy to grow in our climate.
But even as concerned as policymakers are, inadequate credible data on the use of drugs in the ECOWAS member states is also an issue in ending the trend. And that is what WENDU reports present as mandated by the ECOWAS heads of state and governments.
The report highlights the latest estimates and trends on drug use and illicit drug supply, as well as trafficking in substandard, spurious, falsified, and counterfeit medicinal products in West Africa.
This 2018-2019 report, second in the series, is set to consolidate on the first edition.
Nigeria urges all ECOWAS member states to employ this well-articulated report for informed policy formulation, programming, and monitoring of our interventions in the ECOWAS sub-region for better outcome in our drug control efforts.
Governments of ECOWAS member states are in the WENDU report furnished with evidence-based data to know and appreciate the common drugs in use in their respective countries.
AU, EU, CSOs, and other development partners acknowledged ECOWAS Commission for this report, but want timely and purposeful implementation.